right, John Mustain, coach of the James Monroe Mavericks today. Always a good day for your program, John, with somebody signs to continue. Today's Brady Baker headed to Morehead State. It's a D1 school. Just talk about Baker. And I know he came back the same year you returned to coaching, so you guys kind of were here together the whole 4 years. Just talk about Brady.
He was freshman that year. He's one of those kids that, number one, he's just a joy to be around. He's not, you'll get a lot of kids a lot of times that mouth is always going and unfortunately sometimes saying some inappropriate things, but Brady's not like that. Brady has a leadership about him, but it's kind of more of a quiet leadership about him. But he's one of those, you could pretty much tell the first day we started practice, because his freshman year was my first year back. You could pretty much tell right then that he was going to be special for us. What
were the reasons that you knew that you could look at him and say he's going to be?
I think, well, first of all, just by appearances was his size, and he's definitely grown even since then from what he was as a freshman. But just his size and his mobility, he's always had a great deal of mobility about him, and just the whole way he approaches things when he's in practice, and the way he approaches things in the weight room as well.
Signed to play D1. I know he had a lot of offers. When you get a guy that goes D1, you said when you were talking about Monroe, it doesn't happen to everyone. What are the intangibles you think? Because usually that's kind of what separates. You got to have all the physical tools. Yeah. A lot of kids do. What's the intangibles he has, you think, that make him a D1 athlete?
Well, I think at that level, a lot of the same things I've kind of already talked about. I think, first of all, when it comes to being a lineman, they're definitely going to look at your size. Height plays a major role, arm length and things like that. But I think also the mobility. He's gone to a lot of camps. He's gone to a lot of camps over the last 2 or 3 years. And that's where those coaches really get to see those kids and evaluate them and look at their flexibility and their mobility. And I think those are a lot of the things that they really look at.
He's also a good student. It's also a plus when your leaders are 4.0 and voted, best student in their class, and they're, getting all these honors at the end of their high school careers, and he's that too.
Well, that's in West Virginia. One of the things we have to worry about as coaches is maintaining a C average, and with Brady, he's one of those you don't even need to go see his report card, because he's going to be right up there, close to straight A's at least, pretty much all the time, and that's because education means something to him, and I think a lot of that's a result of his home life and his parents and how much education means to them, and they want it to mean something to him. So it's great to have a kid like that, where that's one less thing you have to worry about.
You guys have been ultra successful. And it's kind of, in high school you got to be able to run the football pretty much. I know it's changing a little bit, but it still holds true, and you guys have always been able to do that. How much does a guy like having him in a leadership role and also that size contribute to what you guys were able to do? I mean, just him as a person leading the team.
Well, again, I think I touched upon it today, is his ability, because sometimes the coach and the player, that connection may not quite click, but if you've got a player who's kind of what you might call a coach on the field, whether we're talking in practice or at game time, Brady has that quality about him, and the ability to help to get across to his teammates on the offensive or defensive line the things that they need to be doing.
You're certainly going to miss him.
Oh, we're going to miss him a lot. And again, as I've said earlier today, miss him as a person as much as anything. Ultimately, most of us, athletics is not going to dominate our lives after we get out of high school, or even after we get out of college if you play at the collegiate level. So it's good to see someone at that age in today's world that already seems to have his sights set on getting a college education and playing college ball, because so many kids anymore seem to come out of high school and they have no clue what they want to do. I think he's had a pretty good idea for several years what he wanted to do.
What kind of person is Morehead State getting when they're getting Brady Baker?
I think they're getting about as good a kid as you could ever get.
How about athlete football player?
I think the same with that. There are things he's got to get better at. He knows that, and I think any kid coming out of high school ball should know that there are things they're going to have to get better at. But whatever they see in him that they think he needs to get better at, he will definitely work to get there.
John, I appreciate the time as always.
Thank you, Dave.